Welcome to episode 27 of the 200 Movie Challenge. If you're listening to this, this means you're listening to this for the first time. And basically, as I keep recapping, we are trying to watch 200 movies in 2025, movies that we've never seen before. So, yeah, we got four more to talk about, unless you got a third movie that you didn't tell me about. But we got two each. But Soto, let me bring this. I've said in these videos, some of these videos, I've said on our little Twitter account, talking about it. I'm like, if anyone ever comments about a movie for us to see, we will watch it.
Yeah.
As long as we haven't seen it before, because that defeats its purpose, and it's free. No offense, we ain't paying for movies. We're trying our best not to pay for movies we can.
Unless you want to pay us to watch the movies, that's the only way. You want to pay us, sure.
We'll take sponsors, but anyhow, that leads me to really your first movie, but it was kind of my fault, and I'm going to give a very quick backstory. So, I was talking to a friend, and we occasionally just get into conversations, and she was talking about her nephew being over, and she made a Robin Hood Men in Tights joke, which I obviously caught. And I said, did they get the reference? Because younger kids these days, they don't get the reference. So we went on. I said, oh, yeah, I love that movie. I actually linked to her our Rod and Taste podcast of Robin Hood Men in Tights. She listened to it. She listened to another one. And she's like, it's funny. And I kind of knew this. There is, her nephew does kind of like what we do. Sometimes with his friends, just talk about movies. And she's like, yeah, he saw this bad movie called Slotherhouse. I keep wanting to say Slotherman because it's Slender Man, but Slotherhouse. And I at first I'm like, well, I was like bad or cheesy bad, and then when she said the name of the movie, I'm like, oh, this is bad. So yeah, I was like, all right. The gauntlet kind of was thrown down. I checked it out. I'm like, oh, it's on Hulu. I don't have Hulu, but let's see if Soto has Hulu. And sure enough, you did. And I even told you, you do not have to accept this challenge, but you did. So Soto, you can thank my friend Sarah for this, because she is going to listen to this episode when I told her you were watching this.
Sure.
Let's start. Let's start with you. What were your thoughts when you pressed play on Slotherhouse? And I kind of have to say that slowly, because I keep wanting to say Slaughterhouse as well, but Slotherhouse. And yes, I am saying sloth for people who just clicked on the thumbnail. So Soto, I give the floor to you. Tell me all about Slotherhouse.
God, where do I start?
From the beginning.
Well, first of all, I'll start here. It looked better. It was shot better than I thought it was going to be. I've seen a lot of terrible shit, in these movies. And when you first told me about this movie, I thought, great, another kind of Sharks of the Corn crap that I have to watch. I was actually kind of surprised by the production value of this, and as the movie unfolded, I was kind of sort of surprised that it was like a comedy horror. So what is the summary of it really is, there's this college senior, her name is Emily, and she's part of a sorority house. There's a lot of social media shit on here, Chad, that that's just how it is these days, where it's all about, getting freaking clout on the internet and taking pictures with stuff, and it's about how many likes you get, whatever. But she's trying to be, she's trying to make her way through sorority house. There's a sorority house president who's, honestly kind of a bitch. And so it's got this kind of Mean Girls vibe. And through a series of circumstances, she ends up in the care of a three-toed sloth. And little to anybody's knowledge, she calls this sloth Alpha, by the way. This is a sloth that actually kills people.
Oh.
And so, yeah. So it's super cute. It's like a puppet. And, there's some cuteness factor in there. But very slowly, you start to find out that this three-toed sloth named Alpha is actually a little murder machine. And starts kind of systematically eliminating girls in the sorority house, because it turns out that since Emily gets the sloth, well, now everyone thinks she's super cool, and that kind of puts her in the running to become the sorority house president, if that's a thing. And from my understanding of this film, the sloth starts killing all of the competition and everything, and it doesn't hide the bodies. So that's a question that was kind of left open to me, but it was done in a kind of funny haha way. So I was surprised of how much of a this actually kind of looked like a movie, and it kind of just had this weird sort of satire vibe to it, and some kind of really funny parts. But the kills are kind of just sloth based all the time, and
Sloth
that kind
based.
of sloth based, yeah, like the sloth is just killing girls by scratching them and ripping their throats out and stuff. But it kind of just ends up just being more of the same. I think there's like a montage of it killing a bunch of the girls too, and so of course, one thing leads to another, and Emily realizes she's got to get rid of this sloth because it's killing everybody. Um, and so yeah, I kind of how did I feel about this movie? First of all, does the summary of this movie make sense to you?
To a point, yes. I mean, I'm not. There is questions.
Yeah.
Because, all right, because I mean, all right, I say to a point because yes, obviously
Mhm.
this is a comedy horror, and the sloth is
Yeah.
basically killing her competition. That's the
Mhm.
point. How the absurdity of
I
it,
think. Yeah.
yes, but you know what I'm saying. There is an absurdity to
Mhm.
it. Then I start
Yes,
thinking,
very much.
and I think about sloths, and yes, they got sharp
Mhm.
claws, but I also think how fucking slow as hell they go. I mean, I thought that was a thing. So it's like, can't you just
No, they're
walk
faster.
briskly away?
No,
Yeah.
they're faster than you think. Yeah, no, this thing, and it's clever, and it gets into things and everything. I mean, of course, like I think that this movie was meant to be funny. And the tonality of the movie is pretty funny. It's not like a horror like movie. Like, so I last year I saw Cocaine Bear, right?
Correct.
And uh, I thought Cocaine Bear was actually really good. And what made Cocaine Bear interesting was the kills were insane, like over the top, like out of nowhere. You just fucking laughed. I mean, the story was pretty simple. Like there was a bear on the loose, and it had done cocaine, and it was clearly eating people. It makes sense. That's what a bear does. And it was equal parts. It was like a well shot, good production value movie. Some really funny parts, but like some genuinely horrifying kills. And with Slotherhouse, which it's a
I
miracle
know
I said that correct.
it should be a tongue twister, but somehow it is.
With Slotherhouse, it kind of is going for that sort of campy, like so bad it's good bullshit. Kind of like when Sharknado and like Velocipaster or all these other bullshit things came out. It knows that it has a ridiculous concept and it leans into it. My only thing with this movie is that as funny as the premise is, it starts to lose momentum for me and it gets a little bit uncreative and becomes more of the same. So we've talked about movies like this, I think, all year, where it's like great premise, but how much like mileage does this premise actually have?
Yeah.
And in watching it, I didn't like the creativity of the kills and everything like that, and the ridiculousness and social media satire and selfie deaths or bullshit. Um, they were kind of campy as opposed to gory, and that kind of kept this at arm's length for me as like a comedy that wasn't as funny as it could have been, if that makes any sense.
No, that's
uh
understandable. Correct.
it was like I got like, honestly, I get the joke. There's a sloth, it's killing people, okay. And yeah, for the first like few kills it has some novelty to it, but I like a good fucking dumb movie as much as anybody else does. Snakes on a Plane is one of my favorite movie experiences of all time. I went to the theater. I was with my parents. I was with my sister. And I mean, we were hooting and hollering. It was stupid. Samuel Jackson's lines we were all laughing at, but we were doing it like as a community in the theater. It was great. And I just expected a little bit, like, if you're going to have a ridiculous premise like this, like, okay, fine, I accept it. Blow my mind away. And I didn't feel that this movie did that. I thought it was cute. like that's as about a good review I can give it. I'm like, yeah, it was a cute idea. It's a cute movie, kind of funny at times. But overall, I was just kind of like, all right, like I felt like I should have laughed
A lot
a
more.
lot more at this movie than I did.
Yeah.
But
So
it wasn't terrible. It
no,
wasn't the
no,
worst
it
movie.
wasn't the worst movie.
It was a movie, and that's a good thing. And it had a 3 act structure. It sort of had rules. It adhered to the rules, and it ended. And at the end, I wasn't mad at it.
Ooh, all
So
right. Not,
that is a that's like I know that's a low bar,
but
like,
it's our
but
bar. Sometimes it's just what we
that's
do.
our bar. It's like
It's our
it's
bar.
like when I see the credits, will I be mad? Oh, I wasn't mad. Okay, cool. Or another one, low key, was I asleep? So those are the
Ooh,
two things
yeah.
that like I'm always like, ooh, I didn't fall asleep, and ooh, I wasn't mad at it. But again, I thought that with a movie like this, and it reeks like a stupid movie that would have a sequel. I don't want to look it up to see if there is one,
Whoa. No, no, no,
but
no, no, no. I already put you through one. We joke about sometimes putting each other through bad movies, and right now we
yeah,
need break in between. So no, I will not make you watch the sequel to even if there is a sequel. This one came up,
I
and
yeah,
even if someone comments the sequel, we're not watching. We got the first one out of the way. Comment a different
no,
movie. But Soto,
no,
so you mentioned, you weren't mad at this movie at the end. Now, obviously, yes, you
I
probably weren't
wasn't.
happy, but really the question is, where is
Yeah.
this going to rank on your list? Because, we have seen some shit.
Hmm. It's a matter of enjoyment, right?
That's what we talk about, yes.
That's what we talk about all the time. It's like, did I enjoy, this movie?
But it also
And
depends on, obviously quality helps, a little bit. So,
Chad, here's the crossroads that I'm at right now because I'm about to make this decision. And yes, I haven't moved my list around, and so this is subject to change. But like, Oppenheimer is an Oscar-winning film,
are we really
directed by
that
one
high
of the
up?
greatest, directed by
My
one of
first friend.
by one of the greatest directors of all time. And I'm going to tell you right now, as not perfect as Slotherhouse is, um, from an enjoyment standpoint, like, did I enjoy the time that I was forced to sit down and watch a narrative? Slotherhouse is better than Oppenheimer, man. It's a
Ooh,
43. That's
ooh,
that is a
ooh.
ridiculous hot take that if anybody actually did listen to these podcasts, I'd probably be crucified for. I'll tell you right now, I enjoyed it much more than I enjoyed Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was a fucking slog. Slaughterhouse, not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. It doesn't really do the thing it wants to do. But was I bored at all during this movie? Maybe there were some slow parts where I was wondering what was going to happen next. But when I think to myself, a version of me that was watching Oppenheimer versus the version of me that was watching Slaughterhouse, uh, when Oppenheimer ended, I was like, thank God. And when Slaughterhouse ended, I was like, nah, that wasn't that bad. And that is what makes it better than Oppenheimer. That is a crazy hot take, but this is going to be my movie at 43. Slaughterhouse gets to be up there. Yes, it is that high. It's not as bad as you would think. The
Wow.
production value is there, but the idea just became a little stale throughout. But it didn't ask me for all of my fucking day. And it was certainly a lot more entertaining than Mad Max Furiosa, which I thought sucked ass. And of course, everything else underneath that I see that I've listed on there, this is the bad place. So Slaughterhouse is, I would say, with Oppenheimer, just at the very beginning of the curve of the bad place. That's where I'm placing it this week.
I will be honest that I know you have to rework your list, and because I recently reworked mine a little bit, and we tend to do that. We have to, as you rethink things. I will admit, I did not think it would be as high, especially when you're talking about it. But the fact that you brought up Cocaine Bear and you weren't the first to even compare the two,
Mhm.
and I remember, what you rated Cocaine Bear. It was a lot higher than I think I expected because you know going in Cocaine Bear what you're getting. for the most part. I'm sorry.
Yes.
If you're not watching it for Academy Awards, just like you're not watching Slotherhouse for anything serious. I will be honest. I expected it to be somewhere in the 50s. I don't know why, but hey, you know what? So said it here first. Slotherhouse is currently a better movie or a better choice than Oppenheimer.
I enjoyed watching Slotherhouse more than I enjoyed Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Yes, I am committing that. No matter how I change this list and how that happens, that truth won't change. So that truth will remain that way because I don't ever want to watch Oppenheimer again. I'm not saying I'm going to watch Slotherhouse again, but I I laughed during parts of Slotherhouse. Oppenheimer, I had to carry that fucking cross of watching this movie all the way to the fucking end, and boy, did it not respect my time. There were things about Oppenheimer, of course, that are great. Fine. I'm talking about watching a fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're asking me, gun to my head right now, if I had to choose between watching Slotherhouse or Oppenheimer again, I would choose Slotherhouse. I'm sorry.
No,
it's true. It's just true. I can't lie. That's a fucking truth. I can't fucking lie. I'm not going to watch Oppenheimer again. Under no circumstances would I watch that movie again. Not at all.
Oh,
so there you go. Slotherhouse, hot take. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Oppenheimer. A sloth systematically killing sorority girls in a quasi-comedy horror was better this year than an Oscar-winning film for me.
That is a TikTok short waiting to happen. If I remember to clip this later, put this on, put those two films. Just a quick.
People will come to find me.
Let them find us. Let them find us. I don't care.
Fuck trying to expand our brand
horizons.
People will just be like, whoever this guy is that said that, I want to find him and kill him. No, yeah, sure.
I think some people will reward you too. I got to remember to do that later. I've been wanting to do more shorts off our film things. I just haven't had time, but that's a story for a different day. But Soto,
we got him. Yeah.
But Soto, when I presented you Slotherhouse,
oh gosh,
you had to present me with another movie. It was a movie you actually were going to watch, but you figured, well, if I got to go through this pain, I'm going to give Chad a movie.
Yeah.
And
my head.
You were going to watch Shark Side of the Moon, a Tubi original.
Yeah, of course.
So first of all, why? Before I even get to this review, because this could be an interesting one, a little bit longer. But first of all, why? Why did you want? What interested you? What caught your eye when you saw Shark Side of the Moon?
I mean, I saw two sharks on the cover, two shark men kind of thing, and it said Shark Side of the Moon, and I laughed and I said, "That's enough to get me interested in this." I said, "Wow, okay." And I read the synopsis, and of course I laughed again, which we famously know has gotten me in trouble with Prisoners of the Ghostland. This is the new Prisoners of the Ghostland rule. I cannot allow myself to be snookered by a well-placed description that makes me laugh, because 9 times out of 10, it's usually a trap. So yeah, I saw sharks. I saw Shark Side of the Moon, and I said, I might watch this.
So let me quickly recap this. What you read, the synopsis of the film, before I get into my review, because some of it's real quick. I just kind of pulled it up here on Wikipedia, so it might not have been the same one. Decades ago, the USSR developed unkillable sharks and launched them to the moon. Today, a team of American astronauts will endure the fight of their lives.
I have so many questions.
Oh, no. So let's get there. So first of all, this movie came out in 2022. I always like to, say the year it came out. This movie was also from the producers of Sharknado. I say that because weirdly enough, this movie looks like a movie. I mean, this does not look like Sharks of the Corn. This is not this looks like a TV movie. For the most part,
Oh my
we'll get, but you know what I mean. We watched like Sharks of the Corn, Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies Law. Those did not look. This looks like a sci-fi TV movie. So, like I said, maybe not something we probably would have seen in theaters, but you're like, okay, there is some quality. But yes, it is from the producers Sharknado, so some money went into this. So yeah, Soto, this movie starts off in the 80s, and you see two, I have to say this one time, USSR scientists, but after I'm going to say Russian, USSR. And one is feeding the sharks. Now, we, at this point of the film, we do not, when I went into this, I just want you to know, I looked at nothing. I did not see what the thumbnail to this movie looked like. I only knew from your synopsis. Wow. I went in as much blind as I can. I say that because, obviously the synopsis kind of gave us a little bit, and you kind of mentioned a couple things about hybrids and legs, but we'll get to that. So mind you, as I'm talking about this, I knew nothing. So yes, these two Russian scientists, one is feeding the sharks. There's like some electric fence, and you know nothing. Okay. And the second Russian scientist sneaks up behind him. Now, obviously, they're doing, and goes like, boo, like he's playing a prank. And the guy screams and somehow throws something, and accidentally one of the electric fence things moves to the side. And then we get a little bit of, a little bit of backstory. They're talking like, oh yeah, these sharks, they can solve basic problems. They can understand the phonetic alphabet. They can also understand the Russian language. And then they're like, yeah, they can also communicate through the computer. And then all of a sudden something's coming across the computer in Russian, so I cannot obviously decipher it. They did not put the subtitles up for that. They put the subtitles up for the Russian scientists speaking, and then looking like, what's going on? So now I am 2 minutes and 30 seconds in. The quickest backstory. They told us what was going on, what these sharks know. And again, we're in the 80s. And all of a sudden, I see a shark start slithering, climbing out of the pool. And then I notice they have legs. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, wait, these sharks are walking. Then I notice they have arms. And I'm like, these sharks have motherfucking muscles. And now they're everyone there, multiple sharks are coming out of this thing. I don't even know how many. One shark punches a guy, snaps in half. Like the upper torso of his body goes one direction, his bottom torso stays there. I'm like, damn, sharks can punch. So obviously,
by the way, and I'll let you continue.
Yep.
I haven't heard anything yet that would make me not want to.
Oh no, so don't worry. Oh, don't worry, Soto.
So far, you're selling it to me. Just FYI.
Oh, this might anyhow. So again, they're escaping. The sharks are killing people, and these two scientists, for some reason, now we know they end up in the moon. That's the name of this title. Now, Soto, me and you, for some reason, we're part of this, and we're trying to escape. Well, the first thing we think about is to fly away in a motherfucking shuttle, a space shuttle. Like, it's not a plan to take the sharks there. They are just trying to escape the sharks. So what happens is, yes, all the sharks, realizing these are probably the last two scientists, are getting on the shuttle. They're like, all right, we got 1 minute till takeoff, but on the screen it said like 10 seconds. And like, they fucking can't tell time. As the sharks are boarding, they realize something's wrong. So one scientist is like, all right, I'll stall them, just give you time. And the shuttle obviously takes off, and then we are at title screen. This is just the opening, Toto. This is just the motherfucking opening to all this. So we cut to present day.
If I was a studio guy, I would give you all my money to make this movie. Like, you're pitching this shit well.
I will say there is some enjoyment to this, but there's going to be questions coming. Mind you, the setup is probably the best part, and the setup is there. But anyhow, so we're in present day, and it starts off. Now you see Americans in the shuttle, so we know it's whatever today's date, 2022, and I realized, and I'm thinking, I'm like, wait, don't astronauts aren't they supposed to wear suits when they launch? Now I get it, Star Trek doesn't show it, but they set those rules. I'm like, whatever. All right, obviously I know the rules. Nothing's realistic. And then all of a sudden one woman's like, oh man, my stomach hurts. I shouldn't have eaten those tacos. Soto, that was a line. And then she has to go take a shit. And they're like, she's like, I don't know if I can do this trip. And they're like, if we don't go through with this trip now, we're going to have to wait another 6 months. A woman taking a shit could derail this in 6 months. So they like, all right, she has to get kicked off. We're going to wait for the alternate. And somehow time has passed. I'm like, in the time that they're waiting for this alternate guy, she could have gone to the bathroom and got back on. But no, we get a new guy. His name's Mike. And then he's kind of like the jokester. He's, they get in there, take it off. He's like, oh, wait, I think I left my stove on. That again, that is a line. That is a word for word line. Now, this would have made sense if Mike was a major character. This would have made sense if this was anything important. That was it. I think this is done just to make a taco shit joke. They did not need that. This is not like Mike's like, oh, I used to date, just no one likes him because he's a jokester, but that's it. It's not like, oh, he's the ex-boyfriend of the captain, this and that, or he's just now just a regular member of the team. Nothing more important. The captain's probably the most important person, on this crew, main character. And I'm just like, what the fuck was even that all about? So anyhow, Americans are going to space. They're getting close to the moon. And all of a sudden they hit an electromagnetic field. And the shuttle goes off course. Somehow they hit the satellite. They crash on they said so many Far Side of the Moon jokes. I don't know why.
Of course.
But anyhow, they crashed. They were like, okay, we can't, the shuttle's not working. We killed the satellite. They don't even know where we are. We are off course. And then they're figuring things out. They're like, well, we got 6 months worth of supplies. The whole thing about going to the moon was they're going to start up and figure out basically how people can live on the moon. Thousands of people. So they were going to start basically setting up a society. That was just the quick story to us. Again, after that, doesn't matter. But yes, they got 6 months of supplies. So the first group goes out to the moon. They're going to try and find the rover. They're going to get this, they're going to see what they can see and hopefully figure out a way to contact Earth. Because again, there's no contact. There's nothing. No one knows where they're at. So there's a group of 3 or 4 and they're just going on the moon. And then all of a sudden they see something kind of coming underneath the moon. Now think Tremors. That's the best way to explain. When the movie Tremors with Kevin Bacon, the big worm, and you see this, so picture that. Excuse me, hold on. I got to read this word for word again. So it'll probably one of the last lines I'll repeat, but I have to repeat this line out of all the fucking lines. Hey, what's that under the moon? Is that a moon snake? Is that the rover? Think something pops up. Sharks! And then obviously they're on the moon, so they're trying to run away. But Soto, there's no gravity. This is the slowest moon chase, and it's hilariously bad. Like, they're kind of hopping, and the sharks are doing the same thing with their legs, and they're just running. And I'm actually laughing at this. I'm like, it's kind of brilliant, but it's so dumb that I'm laughing at it. I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, one of the sharks just explodes. And you're like, what the fuck? Turns out that Russian that came on that space shuttle in the 80s, we're present day, is still alive and has been living on the moon for 40 years. If you really do the math, it's been 40 years. And he thinks this is the rescue party. Oh, no, it's Americans. And USSR does not like Americans.
No, right.
So they're obviously bickering. And now there's also a young woman with him. And she calls him Dad. And I'm like, wait, he was the only one. And she has this weird shark fin bump on her back. We'll get to more on that later, Soto. We're not going to get to that right now, but we're going to get to that later. So I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on? So they're arguing because the Americans are like, well, let's go back to our shuttle, and we can figure things out, try and, see if we can get off. Russia's like, no, let's go back to our lair. The sharks will follow us. You can't talk in the walkie-talkies. They'll know where you're going. And in the midst of the battle, another shark appears, kidnaps an American, goes into some crater. So they end up going back to the Russians' lair. So I want to focus more on the American that got kidnapped. If I'm going to talk about anything, it's this. So he's there. Now the sharks are talking. Most of them talk Russian. There's little subtitles. He's like, I don't speak Russian. And it's an ongoing joke. He's like, hey. Then the leader comes. It's this woman, shark, for hybrid. I don't even know what to call it. We're in a sports bar. The whole thing just flipped me out. The whole time the sharks are talking, it's off screen. And I'm thinking, okay, well, special effects on shark talking, there's no way they can make that look good. But she's talking to him.
Still in the budget, right?
Yeah, and then she's telling him the plan, like, hey, yeah, we wanted to crash your shuttle because we did that so we can steal your shuttle. So the remaining sharks and our eggs can go to Earth and take over Earth. And then all of a sudden they show her, and then they're showing her talk. I'm like, okay, well, there is room in the budget, but it was bad. Like I said, all right, I was fine with the sharks having legs and arms and kind of walking. Yeah. Like I said, it wasn't cheese, but I'm like talking. I'm like, all right, this is kind of bad special effects. But again, I'm in it for the ride. But he won't give up where the shuttle is. So she goes up to him and bites off his leg, where then he gives up the shuttle. So real quick, you find out in the course of all this, the reason why that girl has a shark fin is because she's also a hybrid. She was part of the shark clan, but she didn't come out like the rest of them. She came out more, well, all the sharks are more shark-like. with legs and arms. She's human, and she just has like some gills in the fin. So because she was like, the one who couldn't do anything, they kind of just left her out there to die. He took her in, he took care of her, hence why she calls him dad. So I was glad. I was worried, Soto. I was honest to God worried that somehow he slept with the shark or something happened, because she kept calling him dad, like, oh, please don't, please don't. So I'm like, okay. She was just someone that the shark clan didn't want. Well, you know how these movies go, Soto. We've seen bad movies and we're like, what the fuck? But this whole movie really turns out, can the Russians and the Americans work together to prevent the sharks from going back to Earth, and can they find a way home? I will admit, I said a lot. This movie, like I said, it is bad. I did laugh at some parts, but it did look like a movie, and I can actually appreciate that. It did have its own set of rules. There is a beginning, middle, end. As you just said, with when this ended, I wasn't actually pissed. I was like, oh, okay. They kind of set up, again, possible sequel. I'm not going to look this shit up. Obviously they had to. But yeah, so watching this, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, the special effects aren't that great, but I was in it for the ride. But yeah, there's a lot of dialogue that took me out of it. Now, I don't know how your acting was in Slotherhouse.
Crazy.
But I will say, I mean, come on, we had a taco shit joke. We had the turn, so there was a lot, like I said, but for the most part, Soto, this was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was bad, but like I said, I've seen worse. This is definitely not the worst movie I've seen this year. But yeah, you know what? I think a part of me felt like it could have been better. I mean, obviously, what more, I don't know, maybe the special effects, maybe a more coherent story, maybe not cheesy lines. And I'm okay with cheesy lines. Just have it make sense.
Me too.
But this is just like cringe cheesy. And, I don't do well with cringe. I know some people like cringe. I'm not a big fan of cringe. But sort of, like I said, I was so surprised for what this was, and the title, and what we read, and the fact that it was a to-be original. This surprised me a little bit. I didn't know. Not a lot.
You've seen two this year.
You see to be original. You're worried. That's like bang, bang. You're like, oh, shit.
What was the other one? The Get Off My Lawn? That was a to be original.
Oh, that was a to be original. And that was, I will say, Soto, this movie was above Get Off My Lawn. This movie,
nice.
Yeah, it's not on the bottom, but it is towards the bottom. Because, like I said, I mean, as hilarious as the sharks were, it was bad special effects, but it was just, you just gotta go along with the ride. So I debated where to really put this. Once I kind of started looking, I was kind of, because originally, and I'm going to go through a quick train of thought. Originally, I'm like, this is above Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. And then I'm looking at the movies above it. I'm like, well, hold on. I enjoyed this better than like I enjoyed Lift. I enjoyed this than Kind of Pregnant. But it didn't climb that high, Soto. So Soto, this movie is number 58. This is literally right underneath Aladdin. So that should still tell you something about this movie. Should you see this? Soto? Yeah. But kind of like, I think what you said with Slotherhouse, I think the I forgot how you said it, but just, the gag or what was going on with the movie, just the premise, it just lost steam. And you get to a point, you're just like, okay, the kills weren't, or, it wasn't really meant to be like scary. I would consider this more sci-fi, because they didn't really show overly graphic kills. I mean, yes, she bit off his leg, but that was just more her covering it. And then all of a sudden he's missing a fucking leg. And like I said, I mean, there's just parts of the story I'm just like, why did this guy Michael have to be the alternate? No one liked him because he was a jokester. I'm like, he just could have, but he could have been there from the beginning. He could have just still been the jokester. You didn't need to, just like get, the relationships between this whole crew. So there are a lot of wasted characters, not like anyone famous or anything I even recognize in this. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I stand. Like I said, I would definitely say it's there. I don't foresee it ever going higher. I don't think it's going lower. I'm looking at a lot of the movies underneath it, and I'm like, I did enjoy this better. Because I think I went in knowing this was going to be cheesy, like bad. And I think the fact I honestly worried so, and I'm like, God, this is going to be like what 66, 67. Like I was expecting that when I started. And then yeah, I'm seeing the beginning and I'm like, okay. And like I said, right when the sharks started coming up and I know his legs and arms, I'm like, okay, now I know what kind of movie I'm in. I'm in it. I understand it. I abide by your rules. But
I mean, I'm surprised it has a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think
I think
Slotherhouse is 60.
I think that's the popcorn meter. I don't think that's I could be wrong. Is that the official score?
Yeah, let me click on it. Yeah, let me find out right now. So you're right. It's the popcorn meter is 68%.
Yeah,
So,
because there is no real score. Because I looked this up too. Yeah, so that should tell you something where no one has reviewed this, because I think Sharks of the Corn was one of the same ones where no one didn't have official review. But again, I felt like this, to me, this is a movie, like I said, would have been late night sci-fi. Kind of, again, you can tell the overall quality was there, like Sharknado, and I mean just kind of like it did not feel like a college movie, a high school movie. It's like, okay, they put in a little production value, and I do say a little. Like I said, the moon scenes were pretty hilarious. I'm not saying it's perfect, but like I said, we've seen so much worse, so much fake ass shit. But yeah, no, it was there. But Soto, I do have to say one thing. So, when you're watching Tubi or you're watching any of those other streaming services, it gives you like a suggestion of something. And so this one's ending, and like I said, it ended. I wasn't pissed. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with this. And then it's, underneath, it's like, see Sharkenstein. A movie, a shark movie that combines its name with Frankenstein. So, Soto, for my second movie, I saw the fucking movie Sharkenstein. I did not want to tell you I saw a second shark movie, but I saw the movie fucking Sharkenstein. I did. I went there. And
why?
Because I hate myself.
Why?
Oh, because hold on. Soto, hold on. Let me give you the synopsis to this. 60 years after the termination of the Third Reich program designed to weaponize sharks, a reanimated abomination terrorizes the water of a small ocean town. Yes, Nazis are a big thing about this. So let me kind of read to you the opening credits, or not the opening credits, but how like the scroll and stuff like that. Let me just, before how this movie starts. Throughout the ages, one legend has survived the span of time, never dying, never stopping, and always terrifying. The Frankenstein monster, born of mankind's greed and desire to play God, to create life from the parts of the dead. The monster has been killed and reborn over the centuries, its heart and brain indestructible. No one could have predicted the most bizarre experiment yet. So Soto, this movie starts off in the 1940s. And yes, all of a sudden, so basically, what you just see is basically this, a bunch of Nazis. It's in black and white. Sorry.
Black and white?
It starts off black and white. So I was, okay. All right. It starts off black and white. It's not a black and white movie. I was a little bit worried because Soto, this is Sharks of the Corn quality. And I'm going to say that right now. Yeah, so I was like,
I hate that.
So anyhow,
I hate that. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I hate it.
So anyhow, and the Nazis are there, and there's two scientists, and they're working on the Nazis are there, and they're basically saying, "Oh my God! All right, hold on a sec." Nazi from orders from Hitler. They have to basically take everything they're working on this Frankenstein project. And scientists are like, no, we still have work to do. And they basically steal the project and kill all the scientists. So FYI, I'm going to tell you something real quick. I sent you a TikTok clip, which I'm going to get to in a second. So feel free to open TikTok and get ready to watch what I just sent to you. But yeah, so that's the opening. And then all of a sudden it goes into present day. The opening credits, it did obviously come to color. It looked a little bit better, but it definitely still Sharks of the Corn. The special effects in this movie, Soto, let me tell you, like the kills. So yeah, there's this shark that is kind of put together like a
Oh my
Frankenstein, like a
god,
Sharkenstein. And yes, feel free, pull up your TikTok and watch this.
this
I
looks
had
fucking
a
terrible.
woman is walking on
This
the
looks
beach,
already.
and
This
then
looks
the shark
terrible.
just kind of slides out. You hear a woman's
Oh
like
my fucking
scream,
god!
blood, and goes off. You're watching the fisherman one. I was so
No,
glad. And then the feeder's still there, and I'm
this is
like,
a fucking movie.
well, technically yes, and I do use the
Oh
word
my
technically. Very
god,
used.
2016.
2016. There's this whole sharkploitation movies that it's crazy because I looked up there's three actors, but three main people called Skip, Coop, and Madge. And the guy that plays Skip seems to be our age, but he's always wearing a fucking sideways hat, like trying to be all cool. I thought he was like the other kids' fathers, the other two, but they're just three friends going on like a boat trip. They rented a boat. They were just relaxing. But yes, the shark they don't know what's happening. Just boaters are disappearing. But it turns out there's still this, German scientist who's trying to complete this mission, that the Nazis started in 1940. So he created the monster, and he's now got Frankenstein's heart and brain. He found it. So the idea is for him to put in the shark to create the ultimate killing machine. Yeah, no, Soto, this is really, really.
Why is the cover for this look like there was more budget put into it
Oh,
in the actual movie?
Because
Like,
you get
the
people
cover
watching.
looks like it's a drawing, and it's like, it's very like, I mean, it's very enticing if I can be honest. And then you showed me that clip, and I'm like, I never want to ever see that again.
No. I mean, that's how a lot of this movie is. But yeah, so while the three kids are I say kids, but they're our age, are on the boat, and for some reason their boat captain, because they rented the boat, is mute. He doesn't talk, and I don't know why. That's just a choice. Like Harbor Patrol telling them, hey, you have to get off. There's just dangers in the water, safety, blah blah blah. And, the boat breaks down and they swim to the island, and that's where they find like the scientist's hidden lair where he's been working on the Sharkenstein monster, etc. I'm really not going to waste too much time on this. For anyone that has pulled this up and is watching, just go to TikTok, search Sharkenstein, and look at some of the kills, and this tells you, Soto.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
There's
I feel bad. I can't believe you did this to yourself. Is really what
I was just in a mood. I was just like, fuck it. And I made a joke. The next movie was like Sharkula. I'm like, no, I'm out. Sharkenstein, like I said, Shark Side of the Moon, I was fine with. It felt like a movie. Yes, cheesy in its story and acting and stuff like that, but overall, it's like I felt like I was watching a movie.
You weren't satisfied.
I was definitely satisfied because it wasn't as bad. But as you can see, that special effects you would have done in high school. But the fact that like Frankenstein's heart and brain is still a big part of this. But yeah, I mean, it was so unimaginative. And obviously the special effects are bad and the dialogue was bad. But these actors, the three main people, back to what I was going to say, I kind of looked up their filmography. Holy shit, the amount of shark movies these three have done. I don't know. Like all of a sudden it's like they had this. There's like, I can't even tell you some of the other names, but they've appeared in some movies. It's like this whole hidden neck of the woods where people just love these kind of shark movies and it's the same people acting. But no, Soto, if you see anyone watch that clip, you'll know. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I felt like part of me was like, oh, I can't. Now again,
I have to I'm gonna have to repost that on TikTok, and we're gonna be so confused.
Yeah, it's funny because basically, like on Border Patrol and some other fishermen are looking at those legs that are just left standing there from that clip I sent you, and then they're like, "What do you think happened?" You're like, "A shark ate him." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean a shark ate him? Where's the rest of his body? Or how did the shark do this?" And he's like, "It was so bad." So the dialogue was so bad. This is Sharks of the Corn. If you told me Frankenstein or Sharks of the Corn, I might still say Sharkenstein because again the kills is bad. At least I don't know. I felt like I enjoyed it better than Sharks of the Corn. I felt there was more because I will say again this movie beginning, middle, and end. There's at least a full story. As cheesy it is, where Sharks of the Corn were like, what the fuck is going on? Grenades and heads, shark gods. So I say enjoyed very loosely. I'm just comparing to Sharks of the Corn, but yeah. So I I'm not watching another show. If somehow I somewhat enjoyed this, I might have watched the third one this week. I'm like, no. But yes, I had to laugh. I'm like, I saw Sharkenstein. I saw that cover. I'm like, fuck it. I'm doing this. I have nothing else I'm going to watch this week. So I had to look at my list, and I will say this. It's not last, but it's second to last. I would rather watch this than Slaw. Slaw was just a mess to me, and it was stupid, and I could not get through. This is less than 90 minutes. I mean, same with like I said, as bad as this was, I think just laughing at the cheesy effects helped me a little bit. Bad everything else, it was tough. I'm not gonna lie, but Slaw was very, very bad and so much worse, and I can't even comprehend a lot of the movies. So yes, no, this Sharkenstein is number 67. I'd rather see Get Off My Lawn again than Sharkenstein. But yeah, still Slaw is still technically the worst movie I've seen. But trust me, this one I knew. I'm like, better than Slaw. That's it. So yeah, those are the two movies I saw this week. One was your fault. One was mine. I took the plunge because it was just there. It's just like it says, hey, why don't you watch this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm curious now. What the fuck is a shark? I'm sorry I did that. I am 100% sorry. But for some reason, it had Nazis and they had the Frankenstein monster heart and brain, and they're going to put it in a shark. I'm like, I've never heard of that shit. That's a sentence I never would have put together. That's a sentence I don't think ChatGPT would ever put together. So I was intrigued by the title alone, and I lost, and I'll leave it at that.
I can't believe you did it, man. What a stunning turn of events. I just have we not learned our lessons about these shark movies? Like I'm surprised that, Shark Side of the Moon was as good as it was. Well, as watchable as it was, I guess I should correct myself. But then you just had to fuck it up and watch Sharkenstein.
I did.
Fuck up your week.
Oh, well, luckily it was early in the week, and I just couldn't, even the last couple of days, I'm like, I have time. I can watch a movie. I'm like, no. I'm like, I need to sit. I need to cleanse this out of my system. Maybe I'll eat some tacos like that woman in Shark Side of the Moon, and just like, I need to cleanse everything. Next week, I don't know what I'm going to watch. I'm going to assume it's going to be better than both these shark movies, but you never know. I just think I need a break from this. I think I said this after seeing Slaw. I said this after Get Off. I'm like, sometimes I just need better. Which brings me to your second movie, the last movie we're going to talk about. We just watched 3 crazy-ass movies. You actually watched one normal movie this week, Soto, so...
I did!
I know,
I watched normal movie. Yeah.
Let's end on a happy note. What did you watch? Why'd you watch this?
Because... Chad, like, we started this... It seems like it's turning into self-torture, but we started this because, we had lost, sort of touch with all the movies that came out after we left Blockbuster. Although I think you were at Blockbuster still in the year 2013. I left in 2011. So I don't know how long you hung on.
2012. I just when I left, not the 2012. But I left after you. But I saw it. I had an extra year. But yes, go on.
You did, yeah. So I mean, we got into it because we're trying to catch up on all the bullshit that we've missed, pretty much for like I don't know, the last 10 years, and even things that we haven't seen that maybe like we should have seen, right? Now it's turned into watching Sharkenstein and the bullshit that we watch.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to catch up on movies that I haven't seen it, and I used to watch. Like anytime a Tom Hanks movie came out, I would watch it. I think probably you were in the same boat too.
God, like Tom Hanks is great.
Mid '90s, Tom Hanks was like huge. Like everything he did was great. Not really an action star, right? Like he didn't really have any action movies like Nicolas Cage or anybody like that, right? He was more like in just really good dramas. I mean, Big is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Burbs. And obviously I consider Forrest Gump to be fantastic, phenomenal, and great. So I've always been a humongous Tom Hanks fan. I think Castaway I even liked as well. And so I'm trying to catch up on some Tom Hanks vibes. I'd watched Sully earlier this year, which is a movie that was directed by Clint Eastwood. And that one was pretty good. But I wanted to watch Captain Phillips because Captain Phillips, we've all seen the meme of I'm the captain now. And, and we probably seen that meme more than we've actually seen the movie. And so I saw that it was free and I said, okay, fuck it. I'll give it a shot. It wasn't too long. And how can you go wrong with a Tom Hanks movie? It's just a simple, you know exactly what you're going to get, and it's based on a true story. You know that he's going to act his ass off. Now, it starts out. It's obviously the premise. It's like based on a true story. Back in 2009 about this captain of this big container ship, right? The ones that you see the huge containers on. It's over in Africa and it gets basically taken over by Somali pirates. And the movie follows Captain Phillips and his struggle to really kind of overcome this situation, right? So it's tense from when the situation. It's one of those movies where a situation happens and you're living within that situation for the rest of the movie, right? So you've seen plenty of movies like this. It's kind of like so it's kind of like a thriller, like it's tense, and I thought it was pretty good. Now it didn't start off great really for something that I want to discuss with you and talk to you about if you've seen in other movies you feel the same way. Now, Tom Hanks's character, Captain Phillips, appears to be from Vermont. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you could probably already see where I'm going with this because Tom Hanks immediately starts off with a New England accent. Now, New England accents, as you've lived here in New England, you know exactly what it's like. We live in New England. We know how people from New England talk. Like it's just a natural cadence. When it is done in a movie where it's slightly off, it's distracting and jarring. Have you realized this? Like, how do you feel about the Boston accent or the quote unquote New England accent? Like when you watch a movie, like if it's off, does it bother
Oh,
you at
gotcha.
all?
And I will go on a quick tirade. It's not just real quick. I
You
also
can
lived.
go right ahead.
No, especially when you live in that region or whatever region, and I just don't want to focus on New England. It can definitely be off-putting. I will say this real quick. I lived in Minnesota for 7 years, and people remember
Mhm.
the movie Fargo. And the problem I had with
Yeah.
that is, especially where it was, I'm like, that was well, like, I can't, it's just, they expanded it. Like, it just got a lot worse than what it really was. They just made it bigger, instead of it just simple. So, yes, I was just like, oh, and it was a good movie, but I totally understand the dialogue taking a wrong dialogue can take you out of a movie. But yeah,
Right, especially with the wrong accent, and especially
correct.
where you live in that region, and you're like, okay, so immediately I hear him, and I'm like, it's not terrible, but it's just subtly off enough where I was immediately like at the beginning, like, oh no, is he going to talk like this for the whole movie? I was immediately like, and I get it, it's the Vermont thing, and I'm like, okay, but maybe it's a slight Vermont accent. I don't even know what the hell Vermont accent is like, but it kind of just threw me off. But once the movie got going, and once the action began, and you go through this drama of the Somali pirates taking over the ship, that kind of I immediately forgot about that. So that was like it kind of got over that immediately. And I really liked how it showed how Captain Phillips, like, his day started, and he's going on the ship and his routines and everything like that. But it also showed like how the Somali pirates' lives were, and like what led to them making a decision to like hijack the ship. And so it kind of was like it was like a dichotomy that showed where both of these opposing forces were coming from before they were fated to go against each other and deal with each other in this particular situation. But it's not as clean cut as like there's these Somali pirates and there's bad guys and there's Captain Phillips and he's good guy. It's like, no, these are socioeconomic situations, and then this is what led to this situation in this movie that we're watching. And so that kind of colored the background. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought that the action itself and everything, and just the tension and the building up and the dialogue, and especially the dialogue and the kind of acting between the main Somali pirate who says, I'm the captain now, and Tom Hanks, kind of how they're going against each other, that intensity was pretty damn good. Um, but it was nothing that was uh sort of mind altering and something that I've never seen. It was just a good solid movie that you expect to kind of watch, and you kind of can see things coming, but you're kind of going with the ups and downs of what's happening. And so it was done really well. And it's got like the military and the CIA, not CIA, but it's got Navy SEALs going in there. So it's kind of got this like rah, like look what the military can do stuff. But it's also true though. Like if the United States wants to come and like take over your boat, like they're gonna come and do it, and they're gonna come over with warships and Navy SEALs, and you're just gonna even if you're doing your best and you have AK-47s, like you really can't compete with like just the full might of the military. So the situation gets resolved, and I only mention this, and I don't normally speak about like the endings of movies. I forget if Tom Hanks was nominated for this, but if he was nominated for this, he really should have been nominated for like the last like 10 minutes of the movie, because the last 10 minutes of the movie, like the way that he demonstrates like a person who has just gone through an incredibly traumatic experience was so spot on and so like emotionally jarring, that I was like blown away. Like it was like a regular movie, and then Tom Hanks just took over with his fucking acting at the end. And dude, like he I was fucking convinced that this man, because he's being checked to see if he's okay and to see like where he's wounded or anything like that, like after the situation, and he is like in shock. And the way that he just portrays that was so honest and real, that if obviously you do that for a whole movie, you're going to win an Oscar, but that was an Oscar winning scene performance at the end of this film, and definitely made this film, it was kind of like the cherry on top. Not one of the best films I've ever seen, but Tom Hanks is going to be Tom Hanks, and he was just really good in this movie, especially at the end. So that kind of made me get over, by sort of bullshit about his New England accent and my shit there. I'm gonna kind of a gatekeep that situation, but
So before you
yeah,
go
just
on,
a good,
I was
just
gonna
a
say
solid movie. Yeah,
it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, not for Tom Hanks, but it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, but it didn't win anything, but Best Supporting Actor, the guy that played the lead pirate, Somali pirate, actually got nominated. But that was it. So yeah, it didn't win anything, but it was nominated for 6. But Tom Hanks was not even nominated. So
he should have been. He should have been nominated for an Oscar for. And I'm telling you, if you ever see this movie down the line and you ever just happen to watch it, and you watch that scene, dude, it's so like he just pulls you in with like, he really does seem like a person that's in shock and in post traumatic, and it's like the way he's responding to like the doctor's questions and like the way she's doing, dude, it felt like so fucking authentic. And if I had my way, I would have. I don't know what movies came out in 2013. That's a conversation for Saturdays. But he that was great, and that really kind of just it made me feel at a much higher level for the movie, than the movie itself, if that makes sense, because it was like my last impression.
no, it's good. It's good to end off on a high note. So yeah, now's the question, Seto. Where are you putting Captain Phillips? Your 63rd movie.
Right now, I'm putting Captain Phillips. Solid movie. I would recommend this movie to anybody. This is my number 20 movie. This is right under Ballerina. It might go higher depending on how I shift things around, but this is like a solid top 20 movie that I've seen this year. Peak Tom Hanks, despite the stupid ass accent. Because of course he kind of loses it at the end. He's Tom Hanks. But I did thoroughly enjoy this movie. It is a solid ass movie. Like, you know how Stone Cold Steve Austin calls his cats solid ass cats. This is a solid ass movie. It's number 20 right now. That may change and go higher, but I'm very comfortable with this movie being number 20.
Awesome. Wow. Well, at least we had one top 20 movie this talk.
Listen, the Slotherhouse and anything that anybody wants to recommend, I'm down with it. If it's available and it's free and you want to fuck me over, go right ahead. Recommend anything. Clearly, we'll watch anything, as you have proven.
Yes.
Did you watch it back to back with
Sharkenstein? No. I almost did.
Okay.
I came close, but I looked at the time and I was like, yeah. But I literally watched it the next day. I came home from work. I actually saved it to my my list just to be like, fuck it. I knew when I saw that I was committed to doing it. I'm like, I have nothing else planned. I saw nothing else that jumped out. And I know I have other things, but I'm like, I'm going to do this as a joke. Because I know usually we go back and forth, and then I'm like, I'm going to just pull this out on set. I'm not. He will never know it's coming. I just need a reaction.
I didn't. My reaction is honest. Like when you told me that, dude, it was like I marked out for that shit. That shit was great.
But yeah, no, I mean, if, as we always say, if anyone comments a movie, as long as we haven't seen it and as long as we can see it for free, we will definitely, find time to check it out, because we have basically, I think, like 76 more movies to go. At least, and it might go higher than that. I just know at 200, oh my God, it's going to be a celebration, because I'm assuming 200, it's going to come in December. It's going to be Terrifier 3 most likely, because we're going to do a Christmas movie. We got to do it. It just seems to fit. That seems to be the cherry on top of this whole thing. It. And it's not free yet, so I'm hoping it becomes free to the end of the year. But it might be one of the rare movies we buy, but we have not officially discussed it, talked about it. But it just felt like the right choice for our final movie to be Terrifier 3, because it's also Christmas. You don't have to like it. We don't have to like it. You don't have to put it at the top of your list. You can put it wherever you want. But that will be the cherry on top, end of the list, or something close. I don't know, because like I said, the numbers are a little off because we saw some doubles, but we'll get to it. So anyhow, that will do it for another episode. We will return next week, probably with some better movies than, there's no way. So. I saw 2 in the bottom 10 this week. And again, Shark Side of the Moon, I'm not saying it was bad, but cheesy bad, but it is watchable. Like I said, it felt like a movie, where Sharkenstein, I never fucking want to see. I don't think I will purposely watch another shark movie like that this year.
Oh, we need a break. Yeah,
I don't know what will happen next year, but this year.
This is for 2025, we're done with sharks.
Yes.
Shark Week is over.
It was 50 years of Jaws. You know what? This is for you, Jaws. But anyhow, no, do it. Go watch some better movies than what we watched this week, people. That's all I ask for you. And have a good one.